Paige Bueckers just went from the highest of highs to the lowest of lows in a matter of days. One night, she's scoring 44 points on nearly perfect shooting, tying a rookie record that hadn't been touched since the 90s. Social media explodes. Fans crown her as the future of women's basketball, and some even whisper that she might already be better than Caitlin Clark. But fast forward just 2 games later, and suddenly, Paige is in tears. Her scoring plummets. Defenses are swarming her. And WNBA fans are saying the same thing they said about Caitlin last year. Welcome to the league. This is the story of how Paige Bueckers went from unstoppable to humbled, and why many believe she's officially getting the Caitlin Clark treatment. Let's rewind to that unforgettable game against the Dallas Wings. Paige Bueckers, in just her rookie season, put on a performance that left even veteran players stunned. She dropped 44 points, hitting an insane 81% from the field. That wasn't just good, that was historic. In fact, she became only the second rookie in WNBA history to ever score that many points in a single game, tying a record that had stood untouched for over 25 years. Think about that. Every rookie that's come through the league since 1997, none of them did what Paige did that night. Not even Diana Taurasi, not even Sue Bird, not even, yes, Caitlin Clark. The highlight reels spread like wildfire across social media. Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. Paige's name was everywhere. Clips of her hitting smooth pull-ups, slashing through double teams, and knocking down clutch shots went viral. Overnight, she wasn't just the new rookie on the block. She was the story of the WNBA. And of course, with that hype came comparisons. Fans flooded comment sections saying, Paige might actually be better than Caitlin Clark. Clark gets all the attention, but Bueckers is the real deal. Paige is what Caitlin was hyped up to be. Now, whether you agreed or not, one thing was clear. Paige had everyone's attention, but in the WNBA, attention can be dangerous, because the moment you start getting compared to Caitlin Clark, the most talked about rookie the league has ever seen, defenses stop treating you like just another player. They start circling your name on the scouting report. And that's exactly what happened to Paige. In that single 44-point explosion, she didn't just make history, she also put a target on her back. And within days, the league responded. After Paige's 44-point explosion, everything changed. Coaches around the league weren't about to let another rookie torch them like that. And if there's one thing the WNBA has proven, it's that it doesn't matter how hyped you are in college, you're going to get tested the second you step into this league. The very next matchup came against the Seattle Storm. A veteran-heavy squad with players who have seen every kind of scorer before. Their game plan was simple: make Paige's life miserable. And they did. Instead of letting her find open lanes, Seattle threw constant double teams at her. They forced the ball out of her hands. They bodied her up physically every time she tried to drive, and the numbers showed it. Paige went from 44 points on 81% shooting to just 14 points on 5 of 15 shooting. That's a massive drop, not just in production, but in efficiency. But the real gut punch came a few nights later against the Golden State Valkyries. This time, it wasn't just doubles. They hit her with full-court pressure, hard traps, and a rotating defense that seemed determined to break her rhythm. Paige, who just days earlier had looked like she could score at will, suddenly looked rattled. She finished that game with only 9 points, shooting 3 for 11. The highlight clips on Twitter that week weren't of her scoring. They were of her getting stripped, turning the ball over, and looking visibly frustrated. And that's when the conversation shifted. Fans started posting side-by-side graphics comparing Paige to Caitlin Clark's rookie struggles. Caitlin, too, had been given the welcome to the league treatment. Veterans had bodied her up, talked trash, and dared her to prove she could handle the grind of professional basketball. Now, it was Paige's turn. Memes started popping up. Paige just unlocked Caitlin Clark mode. WNBA defenses said, "Not so fast, rookie." From 44 to 9, that's the Paige roller coaster. Even analysts joined in. On ESPN, one commentator bluntly said, "The WNBA is not UConn. You don't just dominate every night. Paige is learning that now." But here's the thing. This wasn't just about stats. For Paige, this was an emotional test. Cameras caught her wiping tears after the Golden State game. You could see the frustration on her face. Going from feeling unstoppable to suddenly being locked down shook her confidence, at least for that moment, and that's why so many fans drew the parallel to Caitlin Clark. Because last season, we saw the exact same story. One game, Caitlin looks like the future of basketball. The next, she's overwhelmed by the league's physicality and intensity. Paige had officially entered the same rite of passage, and just like Caitlin, she now had to answer the question, can she adapt? Because in the WNBA, talent will get you noticed, but toughness is what earns you respect. If you've followed the WNBA at all over the past year, this Paige storyline probably feels like deja vu. Because just one season earlier, it was Caitlin Clark who went through the exact same thing. In her very first games, Caitlin showed flashes of brilliance, deep threes, crafty passing, that trademark swagger. But then, the league struck back. Veteran players weren't about to let her just waltz in and dominate. They hit her with hard screens. They fouled her physically at the rim. They trapped her off pick and rolls. And suddenly, the same Caitlin who could drop 40 in college was struggling to even get clean looks. Sound familiar? It's almost like Paige is reading from the same script, and that's because there's an unspoken code in professional basketball. Rookies, no matter how talented, have to earn their stripes. It doesn't matter if you won Naismith Awards. It doesn't matter if your jersey outsold half the league before you even played a game. The moment footage leaked of Paige sitting on the bench, wiping her eyes after a rough stretch, social media lit up like wildfire. Clips of her struggling against physical defense spread across Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, everywhere. Fans slowed down replays, showing the bumps, the hard fouls, the missed calls, and that single shot of Paige appearing to tear up. It became the thumbnail for the entire narrative. Was she crying because of pain? Because of frustration? Because of pressure? Nobody really knew, but the image told a story, and the internet ran with it. Sports accounts posted captions like, "Welcome to the WNBA, Paige Bueckers. This ain't college anymore." They gave her the Caitlin Clark treatment, and she couldn't handle it. The league is built different. Paige just found out. And just like that, the Paige conversation split into two camps. On one side, you had the critics. They argued Paige was soft, that she had been coddled in college and wasn't ready for the physicality of the pros, that crying on the bench showed weakness. Some even went so far as to say she was overhyped, and that this was proof she'd never live up to the Caitlin Clark standard. But on the other side, you had the supporters. Thousands of fans, especially younger viewers who followed Paige since her high school mixtape days, rallied behind her. They posted supportive comments like, "Paige is human. Emotions are part of greatness. If you've never cried in sports, you've never pushed yourself hard enough. She'll bounce back stronger than ever. This is just fuel." Even former WNBA players chimed in. Some defended her, saying every rookie goes through that moment where the game feels overwhelming. Others criticized her body language, warning that in a league this competitive, showing vulnerability could make her more of a target. And the mainstream sports media? They loved every second. Debate shows ran segments asking, "Is Paige too emotional to handle the W?" Columnists wrote think pieces on the pressure of stardom. Podcasts debated whether the league was too harsh on rookies. The result? Paige became the story of the week, not just for her play, but for her reaction. The Paige Bueckers tearful moment isn't just about one player having a tough night. It's a sign of something much bigger happening in the WNBA. For years, the league struggled to capture mainstream attention. The talent was always there. Legends like Sue Bird, Diana Taurasi, Maya Moore, Sylvia Fowles. But the spotlight wasn't. Games weren't trending, debate shows weren't covering storylines daily, and casual fans weren't glued to WNBA drama the way they are with the NBA. But now, that's changing. So here we are. Paige Bueckers, one of the most hyped prospects in women's basketball history, has already lived through her first viral WNBA moment. Not because of a game-winning shot, not because of a flashy highlight, but because she broke down in tears after being treated the same way Caitlin Clark was, tested, targeted, and humbled. But here's the thing. This moment isn't the end of Paige's story. It's the beginning. Every great player has that defining "Welcome to the League" chapter. It's almost a rite of passage. And while the internet may spin it as weakness, history shows us something different. The ones who survive these trials, the ones who come back stronger after the tears, the doubt, the bruises, those are the ones who become legends. Paige has the skill set. She's got the court vision, the scoring touch, and the leadership aura that made her a phenom at UConn. But now she has something else, a challenge, a reason to prove herself, and that's where greatness is forged. Because let's be real, the WNBA right now isn't just about basketball, it's about building an empire. With Caitlin Clark, the league saw an explosion of interest, both positive and negative. Every foul on Caitlin became a headline. Every stare down became a debate. And love her or hate her, Caitlin drove attention. Paige is about to do the same, but in her own way. Where Caitlin thrives on swagger and fiery competitiveness, Paige thrives on poise and precision. Where Caitlin is the long-range assassin, Paige is the smooth operator who picks defenses apart like a surgeon. Two different styles, two different personalities, but both carrying the weight of an entire league's future. And that's what makes this so exciting. This isn't just about whether Paige Bueckers can handle being roughed up. It's about what happens next. Does she bounce back with a 25-point game that shuts up the doubters? Does she and Caitlin put on an instant classic showdown that trends worldwide? Does this new wave of rivalries finally push the WNBA into the kind of spotlight it's been chasing for decades? If history tells us anything, the answer is yes. Because every time women's basketball has been underestimated, it's found a way to rise. From the UConn dynasty that built Paige's legend, to the Iowa explosion that made Caitlin Clark a household name, to the WNBA veterans who refuse to hand over their throne without a fight, the league is at a crossroads. And Paige's tears are just one stop on the road to something much bigger. The era where women's basketball finally becomes part of mainstream sports culture. So don't laugh at Paige for crying. Don't write her off. Remember this moment, because chances are, years from now, we'll look back and say, that was the day Paige Bueckers truly began her WNBA journey. And for fans, buckle up. The Paige Bueckers and Caitlin Clark era is here, and the WNBA will never be the same. If you love this breakdown, smash that like button, drop a comment with who you think will own the league, Paige or Caitlin, and hit subscribe because trust me, we're just getting started.